Hey guys, how's it going? Zexzi here. Today I'm going to be helping you guys get Champions Division easy, or at least easier, because we know it is a bit of a struggle. So first thing is you need to identify which type of player that you are. So are you an early game player? For example, you get a lot of kills off spawn, but then you struggle throughout the mid game and end game. Are you a mid game player, so you get a lot of kills during the mid game? Or are you an end game player where you just wait and hide around until end game and then you pop off? And just so you guys know that I am in Champions, so I do know what I'm talking about. Here's my points. And I got this about the second day and then kind of just stopped playing Arena. Most people are a mix of two of these different styles. For example, I'm an early game player and an end game player, which means I struggle a bit in the mid game. And if you guys are finding that you're only one of these styles, that's completely fine too. But you need to be honest with yourself and pay attention to each game when you are dying the most. For most of us, I'm sure it's the mid game, and we're dying to some sort of sweaty W key here. So for the next tip, you guys are going to want to go on this website. You don't necessarily have to, you can just find it in game. But the next spot, if you guys haven't guessed it, is finding a drop spot that best fits your playstyle. So like we just talked about, the early game, the mid game, and the end game playstyles, this is where that comes into play. So for example, if you're a really good early fighter, maybe you're going to want to drop at one of the POIs, such as Frenzy Farms, Salty, The Authority, any named place basically. For example, my drop spot is right here at the rig. And the reason that this is my drop spot, that I chose it personally, is because it is in Rockety Rig, which is a POI, and I'm pretty good at early game fights. I get a few chests, a few gun spawns, and I'm also normally contested with about 2 or 3 people, which is my own personal comfortability. There's also a vault here, so it's a guaranteed launch pad as well. So if you guys are good at early game fights, maybe you're going to want to drop it at POI. But for example, if you guys are really bad at early game fights, maybe you're going to want to drop at some place that is not named. Just a few good landing spots that I know of off the top of my head. This house back here is pretty good. There's quite a few chests. If you guys turn spawns on, you'll be able to see that there is quite a few chests. And obviously you can customize it if you just want to see the chests. You guys can uncheck every single thing to be able to see just how many chests are there. Or floor boxes, or ammo boxes, or even boats, anything. That's why this website is so great for finding a drop spot. And also keep in mind, if you guys are not good at fighting these sweaty W keyers that are in Arena, keep in mind that most of them will drop a POI, and most of them also will be coming from a POI. So for example, if the circle is like this, right, which we all know sometimes you get wacky zones in Fortnite, all of the sweaty people that are going Misty have to rotate up this way. So they have to go from here to here to go to zone, right? Same with this place, same with Holly, same with Sweaty. Now let's use this zone for example. Now if the next zone goes something like this, we'll say, for example, right? That's kind of a realistic zone pull for that zone. Now obviously you cannot predict zone pulls, which is just unfortunate sometimes. For example, if you drop at this cabin where I mentioned earlier, this is a good drop spot, but if you get a northern zone, there's a lot of different sweaties that you can encounter. For example, you got Misty, you got Rockety Rig, you got the Authority that you're probably gonna have to pass, for example, if the zone pulls up here, right? So your drop spot is actually extremely important to the success of your game. And if you manage your drop spot to your personal playstyle, the chances of you doing better are obviously higher. And if you're a good endgame player, then basically all you just have to worry about is your rotations from your drop spot, which if you're a good endgame player, you know how to rotate, so you'll know how to rotate in the earlier zones as well. And if you guys would like any other helpful tip videos on how to rotate or how to avoid fights or how to engage in certain fights, be sure to drop a like on the video and just let me know in the comments. Also, one more thing guys, don't forget about your pathing. So for example, remember how I told you guys that my drop spot was this hut right here, and then I rotate over here, and then I rotate across and get that? Don't forget about the new things in the game, such as the whirlpools. They are a great rotation item, and partially the reason as to why this is my drop spot. So I do my route, I kill a couple guys, sometimes I die, that happens. I go off to the whirlpool, and then I go to zone. Also take into mind when you guys are picking a drop spot, what is there. For example, my team in trios, we drop at this island right here where I drew this square. Now the only thing about this drop spot, sure we get max metal and max wood, but we don't get max brick. So we always have to rotate here to fill up our brick. So make sure when you guys pick a drop spot that you also are using these different tools to simulate different paths. So for example, if you drop at this house, maybe you want to go to this house, and then off to zone. Or you could even do what I did back when this was my drop spot. You could go here, down to that hill, because there is a zip line here, don't forget, if you turn on the zip lines, right? And then you could take the zip line back up, and then I used to go down here to this metal hut to get my metal, and then I'd head to the bridge, to the other bridge, and then I'd go to zone. So make sure you guys are using the tools that this website provides for you. And you guys can even save them and download them onto your PC just so you guys can remember your different pathings. Assessing your loot and judging what kind of guns you're going to take is the next tip. So for example, assessing your loot. If you have a gold charge and a gray AR and your opponent has a gold scar and a gray charge, you're obviously going to want to fight them at close range because you have a gold charge and they only have a gray charge. So they're in theory going to hit you for less just as long as you hit your shots. And it's also just common sense. You're not going to go to a blue muff if you have a gray AR and you know your opponent has a gold scar. Now sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to tell what they have, but again, you can use lootlake.info to check out what is around your surrounding drop spot. Now this video is not sponsored by lootlake.info. I just think that it is that good of a website that you guys should be using it because it has so much helpful information. But once you have assessed your loot and figured out what you have, obviously you're going to want to play it to your best advantage. Now when it comes to what fights to take and what fights not to take, we're going to head back onto lootlake.info just so I can use their handy little zone tool. So most of us should be able to tell what is a good fight and what is a bad fight, but obviously since we play Fortnite, there's a lot of idiots that play this game as well. So for example, if zone is in the top half of the map and you're in, say, the furthest part, the bottom left, and zone is moving in, is it worth it to take a fight? No, obviously not, but sometimes there's nothing you can do and you are forced to fight it. Now, if you have really good weapons, and say, for example, you are this rectangle and there is a guy that you can see that is here. So, right, you're the blue, they're the red. Do you want to fight this? Obviously not. So the better idea would be just to disengage it and head to storm. Now, will they shoot you in the back? There's always that chance. And if they just keep chasing you, and say you guys are about in this box by the time that he gets on top of you, or you just can't, you're just sick of running because you're taking too much damage or whatever. Obviously, you're going to have to fight that. Now, it'll probably be in storm and it'll be unfortunate, but there are some fights that you just cannot run away from. And what I have found from my arena experience, the earlier you take a fight on, for example, if this fight were to continue and continue here, and then even continue into storm here, and then say somehow you get 5 launch pads or a weird amount of launch pads per game, and you just keep launch padding away. So now you guys are here, right? You would have been better off to fight the fight here. That way you save your launch pads, and at the end of the day, if you're running this far, chances are by the time you get to this light blue rectangle, you're going to be out of mats, and then it's just going to be an easy kill for him. You're better off to fight him here, or even at this stage here, if you think he's going to pursue the kill. So hopefully that makes sense, and you can also save your launch pads and all your other heals from having to run and run and run. So sometimes there are fights that you literally just cannot run away from, and it sucks. You just gotta fight them sometimes. Another reason to take some fights is normally my rule is if I crack their shield, I'm going. Now obviously that depends on the distance of the player, and I also am trying to get better at my mid-game fights. As I said earlier, I am a early game fight and an end game fighter. I said fighter, but I meant player. But obviously if you are a mid-game player, you're gonna wanna rack up as many kills as possible. You're basically gonna wanna take your play style and play your game to your playstyle that you have identified. Now, the biggest tip I can give you guys over every single thing is to play for placement, and I know it's boring, trust me. But as you guys can see, I am in Champs Division, and I can definitely tell you this is not from W keying. Now, maybe if you're a mid-game player and you're good at W keying, sure, go W key everybody. Get as many kills as you can in that mid-game before the end game hits, where maybe you're not the best tunneler or best rotator. But if you guys are like me, you're an early game and an end game player, play for placement. It's the best way to play for arena points. The last 2 tips that I'm going to give you guys, I kind of already gave you guys the placement one, but the other thing that I forgot to mention until I hopped on, if you guys head over to your compete tab and you guys see hype nights. Now, everybody overlooks hype nights and everybody thinks, oh, they're just for bots, or they're just for W keys, or they're just for having fun in. If you guys actually kind of take these serious, you can build up some pretty nice hype. So for example, if you're around the 5,000 range, these hype nights are actually pretty handy. As you can see, when you go into rewards, top 50%, this is super easy for, I guarantee you, almost all of you guys out there can get the top 50%. Probably could even get the top 10% because it's not very hard at all to play Hype Night. Now, I do understand that there is different skill levels out there, and I get that, but these Hype Nights are not super hard. And if you guys are quite confident in how you guys do in the normal Hype Nights, for example, they've had these the last, I don't know how many seasons. If you guys are quite confident in them, you're going to want to do the Hype Night Plus, because obviously you build more hype this way, the better you do. But do not overlook Hype Nights. They're actually worth it to try in if you guys need the hype points to achieving Champions Division. Finally, guys, guys, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you guys can take some of these tips and turn them into your own gameplay and maybe even achieve Champions Division. I promise you guys, if you guys take these tips and use them, it will help. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. And if you guys have any questions, be sure to ask them in the comments, or you could even join my public Discord. Or if you guys want, you guys can reach out to me on my other social medias, which will all be in the description as well. I just kind of wanted to explain where I've been and why I'm back. So basically, I uploaded for 2 years consistently, and it was starting to affect me a little bit because I was just pushing out content. I wasn't really pushing out content that I was enjoying. Now, I haven't uploaded in a while, but I guarantee you guys that we are back in action now that we have somebody to edit our videos, because that is why I stopped uploading, because I was just really not into editing videos anymore, because I was at the point where I was losing sleep and I was actually fairly unhealthy because I was just pumping out YouTube videos for 2 years nonstop. But we are back uploading once a week with high quality content. Be sure to have a great day, guys, and that's all. Later, Perrys.